There are two ways for you to save more money. Either you save more money or you make more money. And I decided to do both, which is how I'm able to save 80% of my income. What's up guys, it's Avery here. In this video, I'm gonna talk all about how I save 80% of my income in pursuit of financial freedom and financial independence, and how you can do the same thing. And stick around so you can see how my mindset has shifted over the years about money. When I first graduated school, I started off making $65,000 a year. I got a $5,000 signing bonus, plus I got a 7% annual bonus from my job. And with that income, I was still paying $1,100 a month in rent, which was my largest expense. But other than that, I was pretty much just spending my money on groceries and buying some books from time to time, but mainly I got free books from the library, as well as on the weekend, I worked on my side hustles, which my biggest side hustle was lead paint abatement, which was not the most fun thing where you scrape away lead paint in homes to make them lead paint safe. But it was still something that pretty much paid for my groceries, which was why I was still able to save 50% of my income. And the reason I was doing this is because I was in pursuit of investing in real estate, so I wanted to save every single penny that I possibly could have so I could buy my first property. In those first 8 months from when I moved into my first apartment to when I bought my first property, I was definitely penny pinching. I was not spending money on basically anything, and there's no way around it. I was being extremely cheap, but I knew what my goals were, and I knew that I wanted to get into investing in real estate, and I knew I needed that 3.5% down payment so I could buy a multifamily, so I could live for free and build my wealth quickly. And that's exactly what I did. I networked like crazy, met real estate investors. I met a real estate agent who also invested that could help me get into this first property that allowed me to go from saving 50% of my income to over 80% of my W-2 job. So I went from paying $1,100 a month in rent to paying negative $300 a month in rent because I bought a duplex and my mortgage was $3,300. I was getting $3,600 a month in rent just from living there from roommates as well as renting out the other unit. So I went from paying all of this money to getting money to actually live in a property. Albeit my property wasn't nearly as nice as the apartment that I used to be living in, but it was a small sacrifice for a big gain. In the house hack, I also definitely changed my lifestyle. I went from living in a pretty decent apartment with some friends, a 3-bedroom where I had my own nice room and I only shared a bathroom with one other person, to going to living with my girlfriend, which is awesome, but we also lived with a roommate in a smaller 2-bed, 1-bath apartment. So it was definitely not the most ideal situation, and we were living there together with him for only about a year before we changed that situation. So there was this small amount of sacrifice for me to live for free and make a little bit more money so I could save and invest pretty much all of the income that I made. And so this was my first big step to saving way more money. I went from saving 50% of my income to over 80% of my income, which makes a massive difference, especially when you're young, to getting that financial independence and financial freedom goal. And also, while I was living in that property, I was trying to increase my income. I still had all of these other little side hustles that weren't amounting to too much, but also spent a lot of time on the property. But with my main W-2 job, I went from a $65,000 a year salary to an $85,000 a year salary, and I went from a 7% bonus to a 10% bonus. So that was a big change in my W-2 income. And if you find this cool, make sure you go ahead, go read my free ebook that I created all about house hacking. And before you scroll down and get to that link that shows my free ebook, make sure you hit that like button along the way. As I was living in this duplex, I also had a really strong mentality towards being very cheap. Sometimes I would say frugal, but I was definitely still very cheap at this point. I never traveled, never really did much, pretty much ate every single meal at home, and the weekends were still spent learning and working on side hustles and trying to achieve financial independence. I would even feel a massive pit in my stomach if I went out and bought a beer that was over $5, which was pretty much every beer in the area. And so I was still a very cheap person and wanted to save pretty much every penny I had so that I could invest it in more real estate and other investments to bring me in more income so I could hit that early retirement. A year after I bought that property in March of 2019, in May of 2020, I bought my second property. And because I'm very lazy, I just did the exact same thing. Instead of buying a duplex this time though, I bought a 3-family property with a 3.5% down FHA loan that allowed me to also live for free. And that one wasn't that I was making money over the mortgage. I pretty much was net net even, which was still very cool instead of paying that $1,100 a month in rent. Plus, the property that I had just moved out of was now a cash flowing rental property that was actually making me money, which was very cool after only having to need to live there for 1 year. And now I'm making money from this property that I own, and I have another property that's still allowing me to live for free, which definitely helps towards financial independence and me saving well over 80% of my income. Although moving into this property led me to have massive lifestyle inflation, I went from being cheap to frugal cheap, as we can call it. I started eating out maybe 1 or 2 times a month. Plus, me and my girlfriend, went from living in a 2-bed, 1-bath apartment with a roommate to having our own apartment, which was very cool, very different. So it definitely changed my idea about wanting to have roommates again in the future. At the same time, while I was living in this property, I started my journey on social media, on YouTube. That's how you're watching me right here, because I started my YouTube channel in January of 2021 in hopes of helping people reach financial independence and recreate some of the things that I've done, plus another side hustle to potentially make big money. And all of 2021, I pretty much broke even, probably lost some money on this channel because I paid for things like camera, lights, and other things you might see in this YouTube studio here. So I saw this as a massive investment in myself, even though I went net neutral or negative in my money that I made in 2021 on social media and YouTube as a whole. I saw this as something where I could make big money later on as long as I stuck to it. And at the same time, I kept that W-2 job because it afforded me a lot of time to be able to make YouTube content as well as other social media content and work on some things outside of work that I still really enjoyed, because it was just a standard 40-hour-a-week job. Midway through 2021, I moved and I bought a single family property. Again, massive lifestyle inflation because I went from living for free to now paying $800 a month in a mortgage. And that is split between me and Mia. It is not all me paying the entire mortgage. Things are not that cheap in the South, although they are more cheap than in the Northeast. And so now I have an actual mortgage payment, living in a 2-bed, 2-bath. And instead of renting out this room that I'm currently sitting in, I use it as a YouTube studio so that I can make more and more money, because it's not always just about saving money, which is where my mindset has started to shift when it comes to saving more of my income. Also looking at how I can increase it bigger and bigger so I don't have to worry about necessarily being a penny pincher, being super cheap, and being more frugal instead of just cheap. And this house will also lend itself into being a house hack because I have this awesome detached garage that I plan on finishing out and turning it into an Airbnb. So this property will be a house hack, but it is not necessarily so right now. But the amount of money that I'm paying towards the home payment is still very little, and it's still going to be a really good investment. Since I bought the property, it was worth $345 when I bought it, or I bought it at $345. It was worth more than that, and now I could probably sell it for over $500,000 according to multiple real estate agents that I've talked to. Plus, I've done a number of renovations, made the bathroom look nicer, put in new windows, painted the whole house. So there are a lot of awesome things that have gone into making this property much better. And I've also done it in a very nice neighborhood, which means my return on investment has been very high. And so my lifestyle inflation definitely went up when I moved from the 3-family down here to the single family, because now I have an extra bedroom, an extra bathroom, as well as the fact that I am now eating out once a week instead of a couple times a month, because I feel like I've afforded myself that amount of time to go back, eat out, and enjoy my life a little bit more with that kind of thing. And like I said, I'm trying to go from more of a cheap mindset to an actual frugal and abundant mindset. And as you can see right here, even crazier, I bought a hoodie. I actually bought new clothes, and underneath this hoodie is also a new t-shirt. And something like that, for the first couple of years when I was out of school, I did not buy any new clothes at all. I pretty much hadn't bought any new clothes since I was a freshman in college, and that's just because I didn't see the need of buying more clothes because I had enough. They were fine, and I didn't mind the way that I looked in them. But I figured, because you're out here watching me on social media, you might think I'm a huge weirdo if I don't have more than a couple of shirts, so I decided to invest into some more clothes. And in terms of how my income's increased from moving down from the Northeast down to the South, I've gone from making $85K to $90K, and it's not a massive jump, and I could probably go out into the marketplace and find myself earning $110, $120, $130 in the type of profession that I'm in, but I've decided to still take a lot of that extra time that I have instead of looking for another job and focus on social media. And a lot of the things that have happened for social media in the last couple of months have mainly come from TikTok as well as Instagram, and I'm starting to make real money on social media, and I truly believe that this year alone I will make more money from sponsored ads as well as ad revenue on social media than my entire job. I'm not allowed to say exact specifics, but in the last couple of months I've gotten some pretty cool deals where, one, for example, I am making 3 videos and I'm making $7,000 in order to make these 45-second videos for a brand, which is pretty cool money. Now keep in mind that that is self-employed income as well as it is taxed, and it'll probably be about 40% tax, which is why I plan to buy more real estate to offset some of that income that I'm making so I can have a lower tax burden. So really, as I've catched on, this leads me into my mindset shift of penny pinching to being far more abundant. I've started to spend more money on social media, tried to spend more money so I can buy more real estate faster, because right now I'm in 1 a year. But if you look behind me, I spent almost $1,000 on this cool new background. I bought some shirts and some clothes. I also just spent a few $1,000s paying for someone to help me build my sales funnel so that I can build it into my coaching business, which I offer one-on-one coaching, as well as group memberships. And I also have a free Discord if you want to join that. I'll put that in the description below, which kind of helps funnel to there. But I'm not very good at sales. I'm definitely not a salesperson. So I wanted to invest back into my social media so that I can help that business grow. If you're out there and you're still watching this and you feel like you can't save any more money, but you're interested in financial independence, financial freedom, early retirement, whatever you want to call it, if you have that savings mentality where you can save a lot of money, but you can increase that income really rapidly, which is extremely easy to do nowadays because you can earn money from home with the internet, just talking about something you're passionate about, because many people out there in the world are going to be passionate about that thing you're also passionate about, then you can do it and you will be unstoppable if you start earning an abundant amount of income and then you save a lot of that money and put it towards investments that you know will work for you. And I think if you change from that mindset of just wanting to save every single dollar, like making all of your coffee at home, even though that's all I do, and go from thinking bigger and saving on housing, transportation, and your food budget, and taking those big ticket items and putting them towards massive investments that will actually make you money in yourself, in real estate, in the stock market, NFTs, whatever they may be, that you know can actually make you some income, and then you continue saving that money that you make, then you're going to hit that financial freedom in a quick period of time. And I've been doing all of these things, trying to make more money and save more money while still valuing what I spend on and being minimalist and only spending money on what I care about. Minimalism doesn't necessarily mean having nothing. It just means valuing what you're spending your money on and actually only spending money on that stuff. And I also pair it with this idea of making more money, being more abundant, and trying to hit that financial freedom goal a lot quicker. And if you're still watching, make sure you go ahead, go down below, get some free stocks from Moomoo, valued up to $3,500 each, as long as you deposit over $1. It will support my channel with you only spending $1 and also getting free money and free stocks, so I would really appreciate it. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so, tap the like button if you didn't do it when I asked you at the beginning, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos like these. And if you like me here, don't forget to check me out on TikTok and Instagram, where I'm kind of becoming famous, and I make similar videos like this, but in short form. So thanks again for watching, and more wealth is coming your way.